Stop what you are doing. I mean it. Whatever you are about to scroll to, whatever tab you are about to open, whatever task was pulling at your attention, stop. Because in 20 years of opening these letters, what I am holding in my hands right now has never happened before. Let me explain. You see all of these. Every single day, sealed envelopes arrive at this desk from the divine realm. Every single day. I open them, I read them, I deliver them to you faithfully. Some carry comfort, some carry warnings, some carry blessings for specific situations. I have opened hundreds of these letters, and each one has carried genuine weight and purpose. But today something happened that made me put every other envelope down and push everything else aside. When I picked up this particular envelope this morning, something happened. The moment my fingers touched the seal, a heat shot through my hand and up my arm, not painful, but alive, like touching something that was vibrating with a frequency my body had never encountered before. And I have been doing this a long time. I know what a normal sealed letter feels like. This is not normal. The seal on this envelope is thicker than any I have ever broken. The weight of it is different. And when I held it up to the light, I could see the outline of a USB drive inside, along with what looks like many photographs and printed cards packed tightly alongside the letter. More than I have ever seen in a single envelope. But what truly stopped me cold, what made my breath catch and my eyes fill with tears before I had even opened it, is what is written on the front. It says, "The stolen crown restored, urgent, do not open casually. This letter contains a verdict from the courts of heaven issued today for the specific soul watching at this moment. The one who almost did not make it here, the one who almost scrolled past, that soul, open immediately." Now listen to me very carefully. I open letters every single day on this channel, and not once has an envelope addressed itself to someone who almost did not watch. That tells me something extraordinary. That tells me the angelic realm knew that the person this letter was sealed for, you, was on the verge of passing it by. They knew you were tired. They knew you were skeptical. They knew a part of you had stopped believing that any message could change anything real in your life. And they wrote that on the outside of the envelope to make sure I told you before I even opened it. Do not leave. Do not scroll. What is inside this envelope was sealed specifically for the soul who is listening right now. Here is the USB drive, and I can already see. Yes, there are many photographs and prophecy cards packed inside here, more than I have ever seen in a single delivery. I will show you each one at the exact moment the letter instructs me to. Let me plug this in now. Whatever you do, stay until the very end, because the most powerful part of this letter, the part that changes everything, does not arrive until the final moments. Do not miss it.
Something was stolen from you. Something precious, something irreplaceable, something that belonged to you before you even took your first breath on this earth. And until today, you did not know it was missing. You felt the absence. Oh, you felt it. That hollow ache behind your ribs that no doctor could diagnose and no medication could quiet. That persistent whisper in the back of your mind telling you that life was supposed to feel different. than this. Fuller, brighter, more aligned with something you could almost remember, but never quite reach. You thought that feeling was just nostalgia for younger days, or a symptom of getting older, or simply the weight of a life lived with more responsibilities than rewards. But that ache, beloved, that relentless, beautiful, sacred ache, was your spirit crying out for something that was taken from you by forces you could not see, operating through circumstances you could not control, using people you never suspected. I, Archangel Michael, the one whose name means "who is like God," the guardian of thresholds and the breaker of invisible chains, I am here today, in this very hour, to tell you exactly what was stolen, who conspired to take it, and how it is being returned to you with interest so massive that the original loss will seem like a small deposit compared to the fortune that is now being transferred into your spiritual account. But before I reveal any of that, I need to address you directly, not the crowd, not the thousands who might encounter these words. You, the specific soul whose fingers are on this screen or whose ears are tuned to this frequency, at this particular moment, on this particular day. Because there is a reason you are here right now, and not yesterday, not tomorrow, not an hour earlier, when you might have been distracted, not an hour later, when the window of receptivity might have narrowed. The timing of this encounter was calibrated by intelligence, far beyond any human algorithm. Precision engineered by the same mind that plots the orbit of every planet and times the bloom of every flower down to the exact second when the first petal unfurls. You almost did not make it here. Do you realize that? Think back over the last 48 hours and count the number of things that tried to pull your attention elsewhere. The unexpected phone call that disrupted your morning routine. The sudden wave of fatigue that made you want to close your eyes and surrender to sleep instead of searching for answers. The intrusive thought that told you spiritual messages were all the same, all generic, all empty comfort dressed in holy language.
The letter has paused here, and I have been instructed to show you the first photograph that was sealed inside this envelope. Let me hold it up for you now. Look at this. This image is titled "The Flame That Refused to Die." This flame represents your spirit, beloved. Every storm, every wind, every force of darkness tried to blow it out, and it is still burning. Hold this image in your heart as the letter continues.
Each of those interruptions was a strategic maneuver by forces that knew with certainty that if you reached this message and heard it in its entirety, their hold on your life would be permanently severed. They fought hard to keep you away, and they lost. They lost because the stubborn, inextinguishable flame inside you, the one they have been trying to blow out for decades, refused to die. That flame, precious one, is the evidence of your divine origin. It is the proof that you are not made from ordinary materials, but from the same substance as stars, forged in the workshop of the Almighty, with a purpose so significant that darkness itself organized a campaign to ensure you never discovered it. Now, take a breath. Not a shallow, automatic breath that barely moves your chest. A real breath. The kind that fills you from the base of your spine, all the way up to the crown of your skull. Hold it there for 3 heartbeats. Feel the aliveness of your own body, this miraculous vessel that has carried you through every impossible season and is still carrying you, still functioning, still fighting for you, even on the days when you forgot to fight for it. And as you release that breath, let go of every assumption about what this message contains, every expectation built from past disappointments with spiritual content, every wall your mind has constructed to protect your heart from hoping too much. What I carry today requires an open receiver, and the act of consciously releasing your breath is the signal your spirit sends to the heavens that you are ready to receive what has been prepared for you since before the foundations of the earth were laid. Let me begin where most messages would never dare to start, with a confession from the angelic realm. We have been trying to reach you for a very long time, not days or weeks, months, perhaps years, and we have failed repeatedly, not because our power was insufficient, but because the noise of your world and the thickness of the barriers erected around your consciousness by decades of doubt, disappointment, and religious conditioning made direct communication nearly impossible.
Now here, tucked behind the first photograph, is a printed prophecy card. Let me read it to you exactly as it is written. Did you hear that? Read it again on the screen. A financial door opens for you within 21 days that no human hand arranged. Archangel Michael sealed this prediction inside this envelope for you. Hold on to it. Now let me continue the letter.
We tried through your dreams, sending you vivid, emotionally charged nighttime experiences that carried encoded messages, but you dismissed them upon waking as random neural firings, as pizza before bedtime, as stress manifesting in bizarre imagery. We tried through physical sensations, those moments when the hair on your arms stood straight up for no apparent reason, when a warm pressure settled on your shoulder, as if a hand was resting there, when a sudden chill ran down your spine in the middle of a heated room. You attributed these to drafts, to nerve issues, to aging. We tried through other people, placing specific words in the mouths of strangers who unknowingly became our messengers in grocery store aisles, in doctors' waiting rooms and church parking lots, speaking sentences that were directed at your situation with surgical precision. But you heard them as small talk, as platitudes, as coincidence. Today, we are done with subtlety. Today, the message comes direct, unfiltered, unencoded, without metaphor or mystery or any veil between what must be said and your ability to receive it. And I need you to remain here, planted, grounded, committed to hearing every word. Because the power of this transmission is cumulative. It builds like a symphony, where the opening notes might seem gentle and the middle passages might seem familiar, but the crescendo that arrives near the completion carries a force that can only be activated if every preceding measure has been received in sequence. Skipping ahead would be like trying to unlock a combination lock by entering only the last number. All three must turn in order. Stay with me through the entire combination and the vault opens. Here is the first truth that must be spoken, and it requires courage on your part to receive, because it will challenge something you have believed about yourself for a very long time. You are walking through life wearing an identity that does not belong to you, somewhere along the journey. And for most of you listening, This happened so gradually that you never noticed the exchange taking place. Your original identity was swapped for a counterfeit.
The letter pauses again here, and I am being instructed to show you the second image from inside this envelope. When I first saw this photograph, it took my breath away. Look at this. This is titled, "The Counterfeit Mask Falls Away." This is what is happening to you right now. The false identity, the mask the world placed on you. It is cracking and falling away, and the real you is finally being revealed. Keep listening.
Your God-given understanding of who you are and what you are worth was quietly replaced, piece by piece, like a painting being altered by someone adding a brushstroke here and erasing a detail there until the portrait you see in the mirror barely resembles the masterpiece that was originally hung on the wall. It happened through words spoken over you in childhood by authority figures who are operating from their own wounds rather than from wisdom. Phrases like, "You are too much," "You are not enough," "Who do you think you are?" "Be realistic," "Stop dreaming," "Money does not grow on trees." These were not casual statements. They were spells, whether the speakers knew it or not, because words carry creative force in the spiritual realm. And when a child absorbs a declaration from someone they trust, that declaration becomes a foundation upon which an entire false identity is constructed. It happened through experiences that taught you to shrink. The time you shone brightly and were punished for it. The moment you expressed your true feelings and were ridiculed. The season when you offered your authentic self to someone who was supposed to love you unconditionally, and they responded with criticism or indifference or abandonment. Each of these experiences added another layer of armor around your true self, another coat of paint over the original masterpiece, until the real you was so deeply buried beneath protective layers that even you forgot she existed. It happened through the slow, grinding erosion of a world that rewards conformity and punishes originality, that celebrates mediocrity because it is safe and fears brilliance because it is unpredictable, that teaches you to measure your worth by your productivity and your lovability, by your willingness to sacrifice your own needs on the altar of everyone else's comfort. And it happened through the specific, targeted interference of spiritual forces that recognized something in you that terrified them. A light so powerful, a purpose so significant, a destiny so consequential that they devoted considerable resources to ensuring you would never discover it.
There is another prophecy card here. Let me show you what it says. Read that again, beloved. Someone who hurt you is about to witness your elevation and be left speechless. That is a direct word from Archangel Michael, sealed in this envelope. Let me continue.
What was stolen from you, beloved, was your crown. And when I say crown, I am not speaking of a physical ornament crafted from earthly metal and studded with gems you could hold in your hand and admire in a mirror. I am speaking about something infinitely more valuable, something that kings and queens of old would have traded their entire kingdoms to possess. The spiritual authority, the divine confidence, the unshakable knowing of your own worth and purpose that was placed upon your head by the Creator Himself. When your soul was formed in the secret chambers of eternity, long before your mother's body began to prepare a place for you in this physical world. your crown of identity, your crown of authority, your crown of belonging, your crown of purpose that declares to every realm, visible and invisible, that you are not a random accident stumbling through an indifferent universe, but a chosen, appointed, specifically designed expression of divine intelligence sent to this earth at this time for reasons that would bring you to your knees with awe if you could see them clearly. And today, on this day that the Lord has made, this day that was circled on the celestial calendar long before human calendars existed, your crown is being restored, not a replica, not a consolation prize. The original, polished brighter by the very trials that were meant to destroy it, adorned with additional jewels earned through every season of suffering you endured with grace, enlarged to fit the expanded version of you that emerged from the refining fire. And when this crown settles back onto your head, and you will feel it settle, perhaps as a tingling warmth across your forehead and temples, perhaps as a sudden lightness, as though a weight was removed rather than added, perhaps as unexpected tears that spring from a source deeper than emotion. When this crown settles into place, everything in your life begins to rearrange itself around your restored identity.
Oh my! The letter has paused again, and there is another photograph here. This one is absolutely stunning. You need to see this. This is titled "The Crown Descends from Heaven." This is happening right now, beloved. Your stolen crown is being returned to you from the throne room itself. Stay with this letter. Do not leave.
Let me tell you what I have witnessed happening around you in the invisible dimensions during these recent weeks, because it will explain so much of what you have been experiencing and could not make sense of. There has been a trial taking place. Not a trial in the earthly sense with lawyers and judges in black robes, but a proceeding in the courts of heaven where matters of destiny and justice are adjudicated by councils whose wisdom exceeds anything the human mind can comprehend. Your case was brought before this council, not by you, because you did not know such a court existed, but by the accumulated weight of your prayers. Every prayer you sent upward during your darkest hours, every whispered plea at 3 a.m. when insomnia forced you into involuntary communion with the divine, every silent cry of your heart in moments of public composure when you were privately falling apart. Each of these prayers was logged as evidence of faithfulness under fire, evidence of trust maintained against all visible reason, evidence of a soul that refused to abandon its creator even when it felt abandoned by its creator. I stood in that courtroom as your advocate. I presented your case with the full authority of my station. I testified to every hidden act of kindness you performed when the cameras of human attention were pointed elsewhere, the money you gave when your own account was running low, the patience you extended when your own reserves were depleted, the forgiveness you offered when your own wounds were still bleeding, the love you poured out when your own cup felt completely dry. I brought witnesses, angels who watched over you in hospital waiting rooms, guardians who steadied your car on icy roads you never knew were dangerous, messengers who stood between you and harm so many times that you have no idea how many disasters you narrowly avoided simply because heaven had stationed protectors in your path.
Another prophecy card from the envelope. Listen to this one very carefully. Every stolen year returned with interest. That is the ruling from the courts of heaven. Archangel Michael sealed this verdict inside this letter for you. Keep watching.
The ruling was unanimous and irreversible. Total restoration of everything stolen, complete reversal of every unjust loss, full compensation for every year consumed by the locusts of hardship, betrayal, and lack. And the execution of this ruling, the physical manifestation of what was decreed in the heavens, is time-stamped for today, not a vague future someday that keeps receding like a mirage every time you approach it. Today, this breath, this moment, this heartbeat that is thumping slightly harder in your chest right now, because your body recognizes truth even when your mind is still assembling its objections. And I know your mind is assembling objections because I know your mind. I have watched it operate for your entire life, and I have marveled at both its brilliance and its stubbornness. It is saying things like, "This is beautiful, but it cannot possibly be real." It is reminding you of every previous time you dared to hope and were disappointed. It is constructing a list of all the reasons why you are not qualified for miracles. Your age, your mistakes, your doubts, your perceived lack of holiness or spiritual discipline compared to others who seem to have it all together. Your mind is a magnificent servant, but a terrible master. And right now, it is trying to master this moment by forcing it through the narrow filter of past experience. But what is arriving in your life today does not fit through that filter. It is too large. It is too unprecedented. It is too wildly, extravagantly, almost outrageously generous to be processed by a mind that has been programmed by scarcity and limitation. So I am not speaking to your mind right now. I am speaking to your spirit, that ageless, boundless, eternal part of you that existed before this body and will continue after it returns to dust. Your spirit does not need convincing. Your spirit already knows what I am saying is true, because your spirit was present when the decree was issued. Your spirit was in the courtroom. Your spirit heard the verdict. And while your mind constructs its list of disqualifications, let me demolish the one it reaches for first, your age. The world has sold you a devastating lie that your years are a liability instead of an asset, that your most productive days are archived in the past, that the runway ahead is too short for anything truly magnificent to take flight. But heaven operates on a completely different calendar.
There is another photograph here, and I believe this one will speak deeply to many of you. Look at what Archangel Michael included in this envelope. This is titled, "Age is not your limit. It is your weapon." Look at the strength in this image. This is who you are becoming. Your years are not a prison. They are your power. The letter continues now.
Abraham was 75 when his greatest chapter opened. Moses was an 80-year-old shepherd with a speech impediment when God handed him the most important mission in the history of an entire nation. Sarah cradled her promised child in arms that the world called too old to hold miracles, and her laughter at the impossibility of it all became her son's name. Because God wanted every time that child was called for dinner to remind the entire household that the Almighty does His finest work when human logic has run out of explanations. Your decades are not a countdown to irrelevance. They are a stockpile of wisdom, endurance, compassion, and refined character that heaven has been accumulating for this exact deployment. You are not too late. You are exactly on time. and the calendar that matters is not the one hanging on your kitchen wall. And your spirit has been trying to communicate this to your waking consciousness through every one of those signs and sensations you have been experiencing. The number patterns, the meaningful dreams, the songs appearing in your mind with lyrics that speak directly to your situation, the goosebumps that cascade across your skin at moments of spiritual significance. Your spirit has been screaming at you through whispers, "Something wonderful is happening. Pay attention. This is real." So let your spirit lead for the remaining duration of this message. Let your mind take the passenger seat for once instead of insisting on driving. Let the deeper knowing that resides in your bones and your blood and the electromagnetic field of your heart, which scientists have now measured and found to extend several feet beyond your physical body, let that intelligence process what is being transmitted here. Your heart's field is 60 times more powerful electrically than your brain. Your heart knew things before your brain could analyze them. Your heart has been right about people, about situations, about decisions. Every single time you had the courage to listen to it instead of overriding it with logic. Listen to it now. What is it telling you about this message? What is it telling you about this moment? What is it telling you about what is coming?
Here is another prophecy card from the envelope. This one gave me goosebumps when I first read it. Within 7 days, a sign so personal only you will understand its meaning. Watch for it, beloved. It is coming. The letter continues.
Now, I need to reveal something that will require a specific kind of strength. The strength to see clearly without being destroyed by what you see. There have been individuals in your life, some still present and some who have moved on, who have functioned as agents of the theft I described earlier. Not villains in a dramatic sense. Not people who sat down and consciously plotted your downfall over a cup of tea, but individuals whose own unhealed wounds, unexamined fears, and unconscious patterns of competition made them instruments through which your crown was gradually removed. One of them is someone you trusted with vulnerable information about yourself. You shared a dream, a hope, a fear, an insecurity, opening a window into your inner world because you believed this person was a safe harbor. But they carried what you shared into conversations where you were not present and used it not as a prayer request or a compassion point, but as currency. Social currency. Exchanged for the feeling of importance that comes from being the one who knows things about others. They did not intend cruelty, most likely, but the effect was cruel nonetheless, because every time your private truth was handled by hands that were not sanctified for that purpose, a piece of your authority leaked out like water through cracks in a vessel. Another person in your orbit, perhaps someone closer than the first, has maintained a dynamic with you that keeps you in a helper position, always giving, always supporting, always pouring out, while they remain in the receiver position, without reciprocating in equal measure. This is not friendship, or family, or love. This is an extraction system disguised in the language of relationship, and it has been draining you so slowly, so incrementally, like a tire with a slow leak that you keep pumping up every few days, without ever finding and patching the hole, that you normalized the exhaustion as just part of caring for people. It is not normal. It is not what God designed for you. And the awareness arriving in your consciousness, right now about who this might be. That awareness is itself part of your restoration, because you cannot reclaim what you do not realize is being taken.
Another photograph has been revealed. Oh, this one is powerful. You must see this. This is titled Heaven's Evidence. Your tears were never wasted. Every tear you cried in secret was collected as evidence in the courts of heaven. Not one was lost. Not one was ignored. The letter continues.
But here is the extraordinary thing, beloved, and this is where the story pivots from what was lost to what is being gained. While these individuals were functioning as unconscious agents of theft, while they were siphoning your energy, undermining your confidence, and questioning your worth in spaces where you could not defend yourself, heaven was building a case. Every offense was logged. Every stolen moment of peace was cataloged. Every tear that fell because of their words or actions was collected in what the ancient scriptures call a bottle, a sacred vessel, where the grief of the faithful is preserved as evidence that will be presented when the scales of justice are rebalanced. And the rebalancing begins today, not through vengeance, because heaven does not operate on the crude currency of revenge, but through elevation. You are being lifted so far above the reach of those who diminished you that they will look up and barely recognize the person you are becoming. Not because you changed your appearance or your address or your social circle, but because the frequency at which you vibrate will shift so dramatically that you become literally invisible to the mechanisms of theft that previously targeted you. Darkness cannot attach to what it cannot match vibrationally. Low-frequency behaviors like manipulation, envy, and control cannot latch onto a soul operating at the frequency of divine authority. You will not have to fight them. You will not have to confront them. You will not have to have the big dramatic conversation that you have rehearsed in your mind 1,000 times, but never had the nerve or the energy to deliver. You will simply rise beyond their reach, and the rising itself will be all the confrontation necessary. Let me describe what this rising looks like in practical, tangible terms, because I know you've heard enough vague spiritual promises to fill a library, and what your tired, beautiful, battle-scarred heart needs right now is specificity. Something you can hold on to when 3 a.m. arrives and the doubts come knocking.
Here is the next prophecy card, and this one is about your money, beloved. Listen. The exact amount you have been calculating at night is being arranged by heaven right now. He knows the number. He knows your need. Keep watching.
Your financial landscape is being restructured by divine engineering. I am not speaking about a motivational concept or a positive thinking exercise or one of those prosperity teachings that makes you feel good for an hour and then leaves you right back where you started when the credit card bill arrives. I am speaking about specific movements of resources that are already in motion, already being redirected through channels that did not exist in your awareness until this moment, and will become visible within days or weeks, not months or years. A debt that has been crushing you, that weight you carry into the grocery store as you calculate whether you can afford both the medication and the fresh vegetables this week. That silent scream behind every declined transaction and every overdue notice. That debt will be resolved through means you did not initiate and could not have orchestrated. A source of provision will open that is connected to something you already know how to do, something you have been doing freely for years out of love, that will suddenly reveal itself as a channel through which abundance flows. Someone is going to feel compelled to help you financially, not out of pity, but out of a divine prompting so strong that they cannot resist it, and the amount will be precisely calibrated to address the specific need that has been keeping you awake at night. The exact figure you have been turning over in your mind, wondering where on earth it could possibly come from. I see you doing those mental calculations, beloved, adding and subtracting in the dark while the rest of the house sleeps, wondering how to stretch what remains across gaps that seem to widen faster than you can fill them. That season of stretching is being replaced by a season of overflow, and the transition begins not in some distant, hopeful future, but in the tangible, measurable, visible circumstances of your coming days. Your body, that faithful vessel that has been absorbing the impact of every stress and grief and sleepless night and skipped meal and delayed doctor visit for decades, is about to begin communicating with you differently. Instead of speaking the language of complaint, ache here, stiffness there, fatigue everywhere, it is going to begin speaking the language of recovery. Symptoms that you had accepted as permanent companions, conditions that you had built your entire daily routine around managing, limitations that you had stopped questioning because you assumed they were simply the price of admission for living this many years. These are going to shift noticeably, measurably, in ways that make you pause and think, wait, that did not hurt today. When did that stop hurting?
There is another beautiful photograph sealed inside this letter. Let me show you. This is titled, "The Healing Light Enters Every Cell." Your body is receiving divine attention today, beloved. Symptoms you accepted as permanent are about to lose their grip on you. The letter continues.
Not overnight, in a dramatic, everything is suddenly perfect way that your rational mind would immediately reject as impossible, but in a steady, undeniable, progressively accelerating cascade of improvement that accumulates until one morning you realize you are living in a body that feels 10 years younger than it did when this message first reached your ears. The loneliness, that particular brand of aloneness that exists, even when you are surrounded by people, even in a room full of family, even at church, even at the table during holidays when you are physically present but emotionally orbiting at a distance because nobody there seems to see you. Not really. Not the you underneath the role of mother, grandmother, caretaker, peacemaker, the one who holds everything together while quietly falling apart. That specific loneliness is being addressed today by the hand of God Himself. Connections that have been cold will warm without any effort on your part. People who owe you a phone call are going to feel a sudden, unexplainable compulsion to dial your number. Invitations that stopped coming are going to resume. And new people, souls who are aligned with who you are, becoming rather than who you have been, are being maneuvered into position to cross your path at precisely the right moment. You will recognize them by the ease of conversation, by the absence of performance, by the extraordinary feeling of being understood without having to explain or defend or prove. And here is something that I need to address with great care, because it touches on a wound so deep and so tender that even mentioning it might cause you to instinctively brace yourself. You have been carrying guilt. Not the healthy kind that leads to course correction and growth, but the toxic, soul-eating kind that feeds on itself and multiplies in darkness. The kind that whispers at 3 a.m. that you are responsible for things that were never yours to control.
Another prophecy card. This one is deeply personal. Let me read it. The guilt you carry tonight was never assigned to you. Heaven is lifting it now. If tears are forming in your eyes right now, that is your confirmation. Let the letter continue.
Guilt about a relationship that fell apart, despite everything you did to hold it together. Guilt about a child whose path veered into territory that terrifies you, and you lie awake wondering which of your parenting decisions was the one that sent them off course. Guilt about years you feel you wasted, opportunities you feel you missed, words you wish you could retrieve from the air and swallow back down and replace with something kinder, truer, better. I, Archangel Michael, commander of the armies of light, speak with the full authority of the throne when I tell you this, that guilt is a counterfeit. It is wearing the mask of responsibility, but underneath it is nothing but a weapon designed to keep you paralyzed in a past that has already been forgiven by the only judge whose verdict matters. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Every decision you agonize over was made by a version of you who had less information, less wisdom, less healing, less support than the version of you sitting here right now. Judging your past self by your present understanding is as unjust as judging a child for not solving calculus. Release that burden. Not because it does not matter, but because carrying it serves no one. Not you, not the people you feel you failed, not the God who already handled the matter on a cross 2,000 years ago. Set it down today, not tomorrow, not after one more night of self-punishment. Now. And feel how much lighter your shoulders become the instant you stop carrying weight that was never assigned to you. Now I must speak about the words that come out of your mouth, because this is perhaps the most powerful and most neglected weapon in your entire spiritual arsenal. You were created in the image of a God whose primary creative mechanism was speech. He spoke, and light appeared. He spoke, and oceans assembled themselves from nothing. He spoke, and mountains rose from flat plains. And you, made in that same image, carrying that same creative DNA, your words carry more constructive and destructive potential than you have ever been taught to believe.
The letter has paused again, and I am being shown another photograph from the envelope. This image is about the power of your words. Look at this. This is titled, Your Tongue Holds the Power of Creation. Your words are not just sounds. They are seeds that create your reality. Pay close attention to what comes next.
Listen to yourself over the next 24 hours. Pay attention to the sentences that flow from your lips, without conscious thought, because those automatic phrases reveal the operating system running beneath your surface-level beliefs. Do you habitually say things like, "I cannot afford that," automatically, even when the item costs practically nothing? Do you describe yourself using the language of permanence when speaking about temporary conditions? I am sick. I am broke. I am always the one who gets overlooked. Welding your identity to circumstances that are meant to be passing phases, not permanent addresses? Every time you declare, I am, followed by a limitation, you are using the most sacred name of God. I am, as a creative force to build the very prison you are trying to escape. This is not to shame you. You were never taught this. Most people go their entire lives without realizing that their tongue is a rudder steering the ship of their existence. Starting today, I am commissioning you as a conscious speaker, a deliberate crafter of declarations, a person who chooses every significant sentence with the awareness that your words are seeds being planted in the quantum field of infinite possibility. And whatever you plant, consistently, will eventually break through the soil of your reality and grow. When the old pattern rises and your tongue begins to form the familiar complaint or limitation, catch it, pause, redirect, replace. I can never get ahead, with provision is flowing toward me from directions I cannot yet see. Replace. Nobody cares about me, with I am deeply loved by the Creator of all things and the right people are finding their way to me. Replace. It is too late for me, with my most significant chapter is unfolding right now. These are not empty affirmations pasted over pain. These are corrections to the spiritual record, amendments to the false declarations that have been shaping your reality without your informed consent. Please share in the comments, right now. My crown is restored. Write those 4 words as the first conscious declaration of your new operating system. When you type them, you are not performing for an audience. You are making a statement in the courts of heaven that will be entered into your permanent record as evidence of your willingness to receive what has been decreed.
Another sealed prophecy card. This one is about what is coming for you soon. Read it carefully. A person you lost contact with years ago will reach out to you unexpectedly this month. Archangel Michael is telling you to expect the unexpected. Watch your phone. The letter continues.
Your comment creates a vibrational anchor that helps lock this transmission into your physical reality. It also serves as a lighthouse for other souls who are navigating the same dark waters you have been crossing. When they see your declaration alongside hundreds of others, they will find the courage to believe that restoration is possible for them too. One comment becomes a community. One voice of faith becomes a choir, and a choir of restored souls singing the same declaration of freedom creates a frequency so powerful that it reshapes the spiritual atmosphere over entire regions. Let me speak now about something that is going to happen in your life within the next 7 to 21 days, because I want you to be watching for it rather than letting it pass unrecognized. You are going to receive a sign so specific, so personally meaningful, so impossible to attribute to coincidence that it will serve as your permanent confirmation that everything in this message is genuine divine communication and not just words on a screen. This sign will involve something from your past: a name, a place, a song, an object, a number, a phrase that carries deep personal significance. Something that only you would recognize as meaningful, because it is linked to a private memory or a private prayer that you never shared with anyone, or shared with only one person who has since passed beyond the physical realm. When this sign appears, and it will appear, your spirit will leap. Your breath will catch. Your eyes might fill with tears that are equal parts shock and joy. And in that moment, every doubt you ever harbored about whether heaven knows your name and your situation will be permanently dissolved. You might also notice patterns in numbers appearing with unusual frequency. The sequence 333, surfacing on clocks, receipts, addresses, phone numbers. 3 being the number of divine completeness, of the Trinity, of the fullness of God making himself known in the realm of time and matter. Or perhaps 1111, the number of new beginnings, of portals opening, of the universe arranging itself into alignment for a fresh chapter. Or 777, the number of spiritual perfection, of completion, of the divine seal that marks something as finished and approved.
One more photograph from the envelope, beloved. This one is about your family, and it is deeply moving. This is titled, "Your Prayers Are Reaching Them Right Now." Every prayer you have prayed for your children and grandchildren is alive and active. Not one was wasted. The letter addresses this next.
These are not accidents of mathematics. They are communication, the language of light beings who cannot always use human words, but who are fluent in the symbolic language of numbers, which bypasses your rational filters and arrives directly at the part of your consciousness that remembers its origins in the realm of pure meaning. Pay attention also to your dreams in the coming nights. You may experience unusually vivid, emotionally intense dream sequences that feel more like memories than fantasies, more like visits than mere mental processing. You might find yourself in a room filled with golden light, feeling safer than you have ever felt in your waking life. You might encounter a figure whose face you cannot quite see, but whose presence radiates such overwhelming love that you wake up with tears still wet on your cheeks. You might receive specific information, a name, a date, an instruction that proves meaningful when you carry it back into your waking hours and discover it corresponds to something real. Write these dreams down immediately upon waking, before the details evaporate like morning dew, because they contain coordinates, specific guidance for the next steps of your journey that cannot be delivered through any other channel with the same precision and clarity. And beloved, I must address the particular heartbreak you carry regarding your children or grandchildren. I see it, sitting there beneath every other concern, beneath the financial worry and the health challenges and the loneliness. At the very bottom of the ocean of your pain, on the floor where the heaviest things settle, is the ache of watching someone you brought into this world or helped raise struggling in ways that you feel powerless to fix. The child who stopped calling, the grandchild whose choices seem designed to destroy everything good that was planted in them. The family member whose addiction has become the uninvited guest at every holiday table, the elephant in every room, the thief of every moment of potential joy. You have prayed for them until your knees ached and your words dried up, and all that was left was a formless groan of the soul that contained more eloquence than any sermon ever preached. And you wondered, in your most exhausted and hopeless moments, whether those prayers were doing anything at all, or whether they were just evaporating into the ceiling of your bedroom like steam from a cup of tea, beautiful for a moment, and then gone without trace. Hear me clearly on the authority of the living God. Not one of those prayers evaporated, not one. They are alive. They are active. They are working in the invisible realm right now, at this very moment, pressing against the resistance in your loved one's life, softening ground that has been hard, planting seeds in soil that looked dead but is merely dormant. You will see movement, perhaps not the complete transformation you have been begging for, not yet, because their free will must be honored and their journey has its own divine timing, but movement, a phone call that surprises you, a text message that makes your heart skip, a sentence spoken in passing that reveals a crack in the armor, a glimmer of the person you know is buried underneath the chaos. And when you see that movement, however small it appears, know that it is the beginning, the first visible sign of an underground river of grace that has been flowing toward them ever since your first tearful prayer was launched into the heavens.
The final prophecy card is here, and it is a command from Archangel Michael directly to you. Before this month ends, you will laugh with a joy you thought was gone forever. Hold on to that, beloved. And if you want to make sure you never miss a sealed letter like this one, subscribe to Letters from Archangel Michael right now, and turn on the notification bell so every future letter reaches you the moment it arrives. The letter continues with its final words.
This is an appropriate moment to share something about this channel, Letters from Archangel Michael, because understanding its purpose will help you understand why finding it was not an accident, but an appointment. This channel exists as a spiritual outpost, a fixed point of light in the digital landscape where souls who are experiencing awakening can find consistent, reliable, trustworthy communication from the angelic realm. Not every now and then. Not when the algorithm decides to show you something helpful, but regularly, systematically, with each message building upon the last to create a cumulative transformation that no single video could accomplish alone. When you subscribe and turn on the notification bell, you're not merely following a page. You are establishing a supply line, a direct pipeline of spiritual nourishment that will meet you in every season, in every mood, on the mountain and in the valley, on the days when faith comes easy, and on the days when you wonder if you have any faith left at all. Those are the days that matter most. Those valley days when the enemy whispers that everything you experienced in this message was just emotion, just wishful thinking, just a momentary uplift with no lasting substance. On those days, you will open your phone and find a new letter waiting for you, sealed and addressed to your exact situation, carrying exactly the words your spirit needs to hear to reignite the flame. That is not a coincidence. That is a covenant between this channel and the souls it serves. Subscribe now, beloved, not later, not when you remember. Now, while the fire is hot and the intention is clear, and the enemy has not yet had time to talk you out of it. Now, we must turn to a subject that many spiritual messages avoid entirely because it is uncomfortable and because it asks something difficult of the listener. We must speak about forgiveness, and before your walls go up, before you brace yourself against what you think I am about to ask, let me be clear about what forgiveness is and what it is not. Forgiveness is not saying that what happened to you was acceptable. It was not acceptable. The betrayal, the abandonment, the cruelty, the neglect, the broken promises, the stolen years, the shattered trust, all of it was wrong, and God Himself agrees that it was wrong, and nowhere in any heavenly decree does it say that forgiveness requires pretending otherwise. Forgiveness is not reconciliation. You are not being asked to return to the table with someone who poisoned the food. You are not being asked to open the door to someone who used every previous entry as an opportunity to rob the house. You can forgive completely and still maintain boundaries that protect your peace, your safety, and your sanity. The two are not in conflict. They are companions. What forgiveness is, and this is the part that changes everything, is the act of releasing yourself from a bond that ties your nervous system, your energy field, your sleep patterns, your blood pressure, your digestive health, and your capacity for joy to a person or event that has already moved into the past tense. When you hold unforgiveness, you are not punishing the offender. They go about their day unbothered. You are binding your present moment to their past behavior, creating a time loop where the wound is refreshed daily instead of allowed to heal. Every bitter thought about what they did reopens the cut. Every replay of the offense in your mind pours salt into the wound. Every fantasy of revenge or vindication keeps you locked in the room with the very person you wish you could be free of. The decree of total restoration that was issued today contains a condition, not a condition of worthiness, because worthiness was never in question, a condition of capacity. Imagine a vessel that is meant to be filled with fresh, clean, living water. If that vessel is already full of old grudges, old grief, old bitterness that is calcified into resentment, there is no room for the new water to enter. It is not that heaven is withholding the blessing until you forgive. It is that the blessing is being poured, but the vessel is too full of old contents to receive it. Forgiveness creates space. Space in your heart, in your mind, in your body, in your energy field, for the flood of goodness that is actively seeking to fill you. So, I am asking you, not demanding, because heaven never forces, never coerces, never manipulates through guilt what it could accomplish through love. I am asking you to begin the process today, not finish it. Beginning is enough. a mustard seed of willingness is enough. Whisper the name of the person who hurt you most, not to them, not into a phone or across a table, to God, into the sacred space of your own heart, where no one can hear but the one who hears everything, and say, I'm choosing to release this, not because I condone what happened, not because the wound is healed, not because I am ready to pretend it never occurred, but because my future is larger than this pain, and I refuse to let old poison contaminate the new wine that heaven is pouring into my life, and I am making room for what has been prepared for me since before I drew my first breath. That simple whisper, that tiny act of willingness, that mustard seed of courage planted in soil that may feel rocky and resistant, it sends a signal through the spiritual realm that moves mountains. Literal mountains of accumulated bondage begin to crumble at the vibration of a single genuine decision to release. You do not have to feel the forgiveness yet. Feelings follow decisions, not the other way around. You decide first. The feelings catch up later, sometimes quickly like sunrise on a clear morning, sometimes slowly, like spring arriving after a particularly stubborn winter, but they always catch up when the decision is genuine. Always, without exception. In the entire history of souls who have chosen to forgive, not one has been left permanently stranded between the decision and the feeling. The bridge always appears once you take the first step. As this message reaches its deepest layers, I want to plant something in your consciousness that will grow long after these words have finished sounding. A vision of who you are becoming, not who you were, not who the world told you to be, not who the wounds shaped you into, but who you were designed to be from before time began, who you are. Finally, stepping into, after decades of delay and detour, you are becoming a woman or a man, for some of you listening, of unshakable peace, not the fake peace of denial, not the brittle peace that shatters at the first sign of trouble, but the deep, oceanic peace that remains steady, even when the surface is churning. The kind of peace that makes other people feel calm just by being near you, without you saying a word or doing anything special. The kind of peace that comes from knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing in the marrow of your bones that you are held by something infinitely greater than any challenge this world can produce. You are becoming a person of authority, not the loud, domineering kind that demands attention and controls others. The quiet kind, the kind that walks into a room and shifts the atmosphere without raising a voice. The kind that speaks a word and things move, not because of volume or aggression, but because the word is backed by the full weight of heaven and carries an anointing that the spiritual realm recognizes and responds to. You have more authority in one whispered prayer than 1,000 shouted demands, and you are about to discover just how powerful that authority is when exercised from a place of restored identity. You are becoming a magnet for the goodness that has been circling your life like a plane waiting for clearance to land. Provision is drawn to you. Opportunities notice you. The right people feel compelled to seek you out, not because you are performing or striving or hustling, but because your frequency has been recalibrated to the original setting, the one you were born with, the one that was disrupted by trauma and loss and the accumulated interference of decades of operating under a stolen identity. When you vibrate at your original frequency, you attract everything that was always meant to be yours, and you naturally repel everything that was never meant to stay. People who previously overlooked you are going to do a double take. Something about you will catch their attention, and they will not be able to pinpoint exactly what changed. You did not change your hair or your wardrobe or your address, but there is a radiance now, a quality of presence that commands attention without demanding it. They might say, "You look different. Did you do something?" And you will smile, knowing that what changed was not something you did, but something that was done to you by the hand of the Almighty, who reached down from his throne and placed a crown back on the head of his child where it always belonged. Take one more breath with me now, beloved, the deepest breath your lungs have drawn since this message began. Let it fill every corner, every pocket of air, every forgotten space in your chest that has been collapsed under the weight of years. Hold it at the very peak, where fullness meets stillness, where everything pauses in perfect suspension, and then release it slowly, deliberately, like pouring out the last drops of an old season. Feel the emptying, feel the completion, feel the sacred pause between what was and what is about to be. In that pause lives everything, all possibility, all potential, all the unwritten pages of a story that is far from over and is in fact entering its most compelling, most beautiful, most purposeful chapter. The chapter where the heroine, having survived everything that was thrown at her, having walked through fire and flood and famine and silence, rises not in spite of what she endured, but because of it, carrying wisdom in her bones and compassion in her hands, and an unquenchable fire in her spirit that illuminates the path for everyone she encounters. That heroine is you. That chapter begins today, and the author of your story, the one who penned the first sentence and already knows the last, is smiling as he watches you turn the page. Write in the comments, "I accept my restored crown." Write it boldly, without hesitation, without the apologetic qualifications your old identity would have insisted on adding. This is not a wish. It is a receipt. It is your signature on the delivery confirmation for a package that has already arrived. It is the first sentence of the new chapter, spoken by the new you, from the new place of authority that is now permanently yours. I, Archangel Michael, seal every word spoken here with fire that cannot be extinguished and authority that cannot be overridden by any force in any dimension of existence. What has been declared over your life today cannot be reversed by any human hand, any spiritual force, any combination of circumstances, any amount of time, or any weapon formed against you, no matter how cleverly it is crafted or how persistently it is deployed. The crown is restored. The decree is enacted. The warehouse is open. The chains are broken. The guilt is dissolved. The forgiveness has created space. The words of your mouth are being realigned with the truth of heaven, and the blessings, beloved, are pouring in even now, like golden rain from a sky that has been holding back its bounty for this exact day, this exact soul, this exact magnificent moment of awakening that will be remembered in the chronicles of your personal history as the day everything shifted. You are crowned, you are commissioned, you are loved with a love that has no expiration date, no fine print, no hidden conditions, no asterisks leading to disappointing footnotes, and no upper limit that you could ever reach no matter how much of it you consume. Because divine love replenishes faster, than it is received, like a spring that flows more abundantly the more water is drawn from it. Walk forward from this moment, knowing that every step you take is supported by the armies of heaven, guided by wisdom that sees around corners you cannot see, protected by shields you cannot feel, but that deflect arrows you will never know were aimed at you, and celebrated by a great cloud of witnesses who are cheering for you with more enthusiasm than any stadium has ever contained for any championship in the history of human competition. The peace of the Most High covers you like a garment you can never be stripped of. The fire of purpose burns within you like an eternal flame that no wind can extinguish. The crown of identity rests upon you like it was custom fitted for your exact head by the hands of the one who measured the universe with a span. And the story of your life, far from ending, far from winding down into quiet irrelevance, is just now reaching the passage that makes every reader lean forward with breathless wonder, unable to put the book down, completely captivated by the beauty of a redemption they never saw coming. Go in power, go in peace, go in the absolute, unshakable, irreversible knowledge that you are exactly who heaven says you are, and nothing less, and nothing other, and nothing short of the magnificent, crowned, restored, commissioned child of the Most High God. Amen and amen. And let it be sealed in the heavens and manifested on the earth, now and forevermore, in the mighty and matchless name that is above every name. It is finished, it is done, and it is yours.
I need a moment, just a moment. I told you at the beginning of this video that in 20 years of opening these letters, what I was holding had never happened before. And now you understand why. That was not just a letter. That was a verdict from the courts of heaven, delivered by Archangel Michael himself, sealed inside an envelope that was heavier than any I have ever held. And now I know why it was heavy. It was carrying the weight of everything that was stolen from you, being returned at once. Look at what came out of this single envelope. 8 color photographs, each one showing you a different dimension of what heaven is doing in your life right now. 8 printed prophecy cards, each one carrying a specific prediction, sealed by the angelic realm for your exact situation. And a letter so powerful that my hands are still warm from holding the envelope. Do you remember what was written on the front of this envelope? It said this letter was for the soul who almost did not make it here, the one who almost scrolled past. And you stayed. You stayed through every word, every photograph, every prophecy card. You did not leave. And because you stayed, the full transmission was received. The crown has been placed back on your head. The decree has been activated, and nothing can reverse what was sealed here today. Now, I need you to do 3 things before you close this video. First, write, "I accept my restored crown" in the comments right now. That is your receipt, your signature on the heavenly decree. Second, subscribe to Letters from Archangel Michael and turn on the notification bell, because I open new sealed letters regularly. And the next one that arrives could be carrying the specific instruction your spirit needs for what is coming next. You do not want to miss it. And third, share this video with 3 people. You know exactly who. Their faces appeared in your mind during the letter. That was not a coincidence. That was an assignment heaven is using your hands to deliver their letter to. I will be back with the next sealed letter soon. But beloved, what happened here today does not end when this video ends. It begins. Walk out of this moment wearing your crown. I love you. God loves you. The angels are cheering for you, and I will see you in the next letter.